we are continuing on our Steven Wilson Jr. kick here at Six String Philosophy. This is the third song in the series. Love this song. Just like the others, it's kind of jockeyed its way to the front of the pack. Once I focused on it enough to appreciate what's going on with an ear towards learning it and passing it on, I got to learn really, on the inside of this song. There's so much beautiful stuff going on. And so we'll talk about the lyrics later. We'll do a recap just of some of the Steven Wilson Jr. Thoughts and vibes at the very end. But for now, let's get right into the lesson. You'll need to tune special for this one. So once again, Chromatic Tuner is your friend, okay? Depending on which recording you're doing, I did kind of a, composite of a few different recordings of his. The print shop one, which is pretty notorious, his official video version, and one or two other live ones that I saw. And so all of them have the same tuning, which is D, F, C, F again, A, and D again. Okay? Once you apply the chord shapes, everything's lovey-dovey. All right? By itself, open, it's okay. But it really takes on a beautiful, dark tone that I don't really know any other songs that are quite like this. And so that's why it has earned a place in my heart, and hopefully yours too. So let's get jumping. Initially here, you're making this kind of octave shape. That's where it all begins. And so you're gonna put your pointer finger on the 3rd fret of the low E string, skip a string, and then put your ring finger on the D string, 5th fret. Okay, and you can, if you want to back it up with this middle finger behind there, you can sort of do like a little leading tone. Picking the low E, and then with my finger striking the A string, then picking the low E again, and then striking the D string. And that's how you get that rhythmic picking going. And all these things you can practice, okay? And then it's gonna slide up. Now the slide, so this is like our major chord that most of the song is centered around. To make the minor chord that we're gonna transition to, you basically just pick up your pointer finger, put your middle finger down on the 4th fret of the A string. And that creates the relative minor, okay? So, to bridge those two, you have to do the slide. This slide is going to be taking this shape that we just made a moment ago, and you have to be able to do these like accurate slides, like target a position to move up to. So it's going to go from being centered on the 4th fret to being centered on the 11th and 12th frets. So the first time it's going back to that minor chord, and then it comes back, and then an upstroke, you're going to put the pointer finger down on the 10th fret, and then slide back. Doing it a little slower than pace. Now here's that slide up and down. You got to get that down. So practice those giant steps of moving from that minor chord and then that trapdoor where it slides back down. And the sound really almost sounds like a snapping rubber band back and forth. I don't know how else to describe it in the actual track. And that's how you kind of create that. So practice that intro a lot. For a couple of days, maybe a few minutes each day, and then you get that snap back and forth, unless you're used to doing big jumps like this, in which case you might pick it up immediately. But anyway, it took me a couple of days. So as we move to the next part, you can create this G shape here by putting your thumb on the 3rd fret and then barring here on the 3rd fret of the B and E strings, or you can keep this shape. The nice thing about this shape is you can do that leading tone, keep your middle finger a half step back and just keep. Hand on the Bible lies, maggots turn to flies, whole world's going to hell, mama's back in jail. Here comes the next chord. Now this is a chord you're going to use a whole bunch. It's the shape of an A minor 7 chord. Pointer finger on the 1st fret of the B string, skip a string, nothing on the G, and then your middle finger goes on the 2nd fret of the D string. And you can also put your ring finger on the 3rd fret just to create that chorusy sound. And you can hammer those babies on. It's kind of like a folk guitar move we've used in other videos, all right? And then that's the part where he says, just can't get enough, think we had too much. You can also achieve that a different way. Alternate route would be you build what looks like a C chord here, okay? So if this was an A minor 7 here, you can slide this up a whole step and then put your ring finger down on the 5th fret of the A string. That would be where you would do the just can't get enough, think we had too much. Okay, so that's that C shape, and then I'm putting my pinky down to complete that chord, because right now it sounds like it's kind of tense, and then you can resolve that by putting that pinky down on right underneath your ring finger, and you get a cool, pretty chord. And if you want to bar that 3rd fret, there's parts where that little adding that just sounds kind of pretty as you go through it. So that would be that just can't get enough, I think we had too much. All right, so those are your verses. For the chorus, I shift over to this look, which is that sort of modified, G shape, except because this is a nice open unison note, so you don't want to make that shape. Okay, you want to just play it like that. Okay, then you move over to this same chord, that minor chord, and now the first iteration that I showed you, which was this A minor 7 shape, which kind of has the same net sound as this, but for this occasion, I like the A minor 7 plus a little college degree up there, that unison note. Snake will crawl the earth with shed his skin, make room for the poison, and the filthy rich will rob you clean, till you raise your voices. Again, adding that little high note on the 3rd fret. And the loud one above the rest will call himself a rebel. There's one you know and there's one you don't, but they're still both the devil. On to the next verse. So that's the same basics, same verse is identical in terms of the structure with the chords, and then you go through another chorus, which is the same as the first chorus, and then that leads you to this little bridge part, which is so awesome. This part, it begins with the minor chord, so as I lay me down, so that's going to be this minor shape that we've been doing, and then this G shape, and then this A minor 7 shape. And then for this next part, I kind of hear it. I hear this as if you would just kind of move up this A minor 7 thing and then take your middle finger and put it on the A string now. Okay, so that's going to be that. So that shape there, and then moving up to a C shape and then completing the chord again. And I'm kind of modifying this a little, covering the A and D strings with my ring and pinky on the, yeah, there you go, on the 5th fret. And then I'm leaving a gap, hearing that open G note kind of flying in the wind there. And then I'm barring with my pointer on the 3rd fret with a little bit of a twister maybe. But it's kind of like, gives you that, as I lay me down, gonna lay behind me now. The snake crawl the earth, shed his skin to make room for the poison. The filthy rich will not be clean until you raise your voices. And the loud one above the rest will call himself a rebel. There's the one you know and the one you don't, and they're still both the devil. I've listened to interviews where he's talked about the backstory behind this one, and I saw him live where he talked about it with the crowd. He said it's his favorite song in his catalog, which is believable. I mean, he throws himself into it, and you can see at certain points where he's so affected while he's singing it live that it means a lot to him. This one came to him, according to Steven Wilson Jr., in a dream, almost fully formed, and he woke up the next day and wrote it down and then put it into music. And it's sort of one of those gifts, you know, where it's a song that comes, you know, inspiration-wise. So love it for those reasons. Very powerful lyrics. This line here, that needle to the vein might be the thing to kill the pain. Don't trade away your soul. I swear you never know that you're even here. How it whispers in your ear. Gorgeous. It's, you know, it is kind of like an Americana tune, not a traditional hooky chorus per se, although it is memorable and fantastic and powerful. You know, it's not something maybe that we're ever going to hear on the radio mainstream, although for me it's a 10 out of 10. Certainly deserves to be heard, but it's one of these real piece of artwork, this song, and I don't think it was not pandering to anyone. None of it was written to try and chase the charts. Like I said, I mean, so couldn't be more from the heart. Probably my favorite part would be that line that it just, you know, went through with the verse, but also the as I lay me down. Unbelievable. Basic shapes, a lot of feel. So that's the, you know, the only advice I can give you is, you know, dive into it, practice, getting, you know, I was more disciplined. You know, I think this matters less of having this picking pattern down, and it's more about just feeling it and letting that go. Having the discipline to stop and the, you know, the timing to stop is difficult on some of those parts, like, you just can't get enough. I think we had too much. Like a lot of those crescendos and, you know, little dynamics of this song is really what sells it. So if you were going to perform it, you probably would want to like make sure all those parts hit And you may want to have a metronome or really tap that foot religiously while you're practicing this one, because there's parts of it where you kind of have to come in on a 1 that is not really being guided by anything else. So there's not a drummer backing you up. So anyway, love the song. Enjoying every bit of Steven Wilson Jr.'s catalog. Hope you are too. If you have suggestions for other tunes, pop them in the comments. All right. Hope you had fun. See you on the next one.